Hello viewers, myself Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay. I am a teacher in Library Information Science of Kalyani University and teaching the subject for the last 12 years. Let us today discuss Community Information Services, which is a very important part of public library services. If you go through for the last 12 years, you see there are many ongoing changes. New institutions and services arise when the conditions are favorable. The emergence of personal computer, low-cost communication devices, distributed information systems, joined-up information system, all actually ingredients of the change. And what we are doing in the public libraries of India, we are mainly centers around recreational readings. We are oriented towards the middle class segment. Now, public libraries need to redefine their roles in view of the ongoing socio-technical changes actually happening all over the world. These changes actually provided us the ideal ingredients for web-enabled community information services that are by the people and of the people. Now, you see what our public library system should do. First, we need to concentrate on library automation. There are a lot of standardized softwares and tools available. We need to develop our multilingual document processing system because you know India is a multilingual country. Large diversified language segments are available. We need to have sophisticated retrieval aspect for accessing those multilingual resources. Now, when your automated library system is ready, then after consolidating that service, you can go to the next level, which is basically outreach and extension services. Of extension services, community information service is possibly most important for the public libraries because it aims to support disadvantaged section of the community. Then after that extension and outreach activities, we can venture upon of creating digital archive related to different cultural objects, learning objects, etc. So let us concentrate today only on community information services. Now, you may raise a number of questions. Say we are going for library automation, but where is the fund? We are talking about sophisticated retrieval system, but what should be the standards? We are talking about extension services, but how to serve neoliterates, how to handle index script, and how to reach the remote users who normally do not come to the library. Okay, let us have a set of possible answers. Library automation is basically definitely it requires fund, software, standard, support, etc. But you see, for the last 10 years, open source software is making our job easy. So in the libraries, we can use open source software. For example, Koha we can use, Emilda we can use, Evergreen we can use, Newgenly we can use. Options is a wide open. So you can go for any one of it. Now, when we are talking about the standardized processing, Mark 21 is basically acting as the global de facto standard. We can go for it. When we are managing index script, that is documents in Tamil, Telugu, Bengali, Marathi, Gujarati, etc., we need to have an Unicode compliant system. Then after that, related to extension services, we can create different kind of index script based interfaces. We can develop community information services, we can integrate that service with our existing library automation system. Now, it is the time to know what is community information or community information service. Community information may be defined as information from the problems and crises encountered by individuals and their independence at different stages in their life. It is the information for self-reliance and self-determination. It is the information in the community for the community. Now, if we go for the types of community information services, there are basically three types of community information services. First category, as defined by Alan Bunch, survival information. It's related with the health information, housing, income, legal protection, economic opportunities, political rights, civil rights, etc. Then the next group comes at the citizen action information. As you know, ours is a democratic country and successful democracy needs informed citizenship. And we need to go towards the participatory democratic system. So public policy information, welfare information, government plans and schemes are basically forms the next level of community information services, which we called citizen action information. Then the third category is possibly the most important category, that is the local content. Say for example, in your locality, your public library users do not have information how many schools are available, when are their admission session, what are the addresses of different government officials, what are the addresses of cricket coaching camps. So for all this information, they are simply running from post to pillar to collect information. In our society, there is not a single institute which can provide or act as a repository of all local contents. And third category of community information service is basically managing the local information at the local level. As you know, community informations are not bibliographic information. Say for example, when you are dealing with a book, you are basically cataloging it, classifying it, mark it and park it. But community information service or information resources are basically different from bibliographic information. They ranges from minimal basic to broad information, practically uncontrolled information to very carefully crafted information set. They includes reference service, referral service, requires integration with different IR agencies, and various local agency level information you need to collect and process. It can be both global and local at the same time. Quality control is very demanding aspect of the community information, because you need to regularly modify, sometimes you need to discard the outdated information in compare with bibliographic resources. And this basically community information, the major problem is that most of the cases this information are fragmented, widely scattered, and in some cases almost unobtainable. So it's a new challenge for the public library professionals to collect community information, to process it, and finally to disseminate it to the disadvantaged sections of the community and people who are in need of information resources. Now, if we now going for categorization of community information resources according to a different point of view, here it comes again at the three level. Information about the community originating anywhere in the world. Second category is information originated within the community about the community. And third category is the community information resources may be originated anywhere of the world, but finally it is useful to your community. So these are some fundamental categories of community information resources available with us: about community, from community, and useful to community. Now, how people actually collect this kind of information? Every day we need this kind of information, but the question is that how we are going to collect it. So first, a resource ring proposed by Maas in 2001, that there are 5 levels of hierarchies through this kind of information each and every person collect. First, we go for the self-acquired information resources. Then if it is failed, we go to the family and friends with certain kind of information. Then if that also failed, we again contact some previously helpful professional regarding providing different kind of information. Then if the third level fails, we go to the different community agencies, and public libraries as a community agency is there. People may come here to collect this kind of information. And if this resource fails, then people tend to contact individual institutes from where information is basically arising out. So this is the resource ring as proposed by the Maas and happening our day-to-day life. Now comes the question that if community information is very important for our livelihood, then who are providing this kind of information? If you take a look at the global level, there are two broad groups of service providers in the domain of web-enabled community information services. These are public libraries and community networks, but I am talking about the global level. So global level, these two institutes, public libraries and community networks, are joining their hand to form mainly 4 categories of information service provider. First category, public library based community information service. Second is the community network based information service. Third one, where public libraries are providing the community information service and community networks are acting as point of presence. And the fourth category and the final one is that where community networks are leading the community information services but using public libraries as their point of presence. So, you see here at the global level in developed countries, public libraries and community networks are joining their hand together and form 4 different kind of service mode. Now, one question definitely is coming to your mind that what we are doing in India, what are the possible avenues and who are the CIS providers in India. Let me tell you, still this kind of merging of public libraries and community networks, which sometimes we call free nets also, have not happened. So, basically we are depending in India on 3 categories of service provider. First one is the government departments, including central government, state government and local self-government arising out through different Panchayati Raj institutions. Then the second category is the NGOs and public-private partnership institutes, and the third category, possibly the most potential one, is the public libraries. Now, if you look at the government level, you see most of the state governments are providing their community information services through e-government sites. Let me tell you some examples provided by different state governments, like Rural E-Seva provided by Andhra Pradesh, CHIPS provided by the Chhattisgarh, Mahoti Shakti provided by Gujarat, Noi Disha provided by Haryana, similarly Banglar Mukh provided in West Bengal, Akshaya provided in Kerala. Of these e-government sites, only Akshaya, which is provided by the Kerala state government, is using an open source software which is called Enrich. Let me show you how it looks. So, this is basically the interface of Akshaya e-government service, and if you closely look at this particular snapshot, you can see they are providing different kind of browsing and searching services. Most of the browsing categories are related to the different welfare schemes, citizen action information, different livelihood information, this kind of thing. And they also provide one calendar of events at the government level, how many people are visiting this particular website at a given point of time, browsing of different e-resources provided by the government of Kerala and so on. So, this particular model is already popular in the name of Akshaya model of Kerala, and it can be followed by many other state governments. Now, what are the problems with the government departments and public Panchayati Raj institution? Basically, you see, government is the generator of information, they are not the service provider. And the approach of providing services is they are following is a top-down approach. That means information originated at the headquarters, then through different hierarchies is moves to different level up to the subdivisional. And information and cultural affairs department of the state governments are often limited to up to the subdivisional level. They don't have any presence beyond subdivision, so that's a problem. And no setup for information dissemination, and they lack established circulation subsystem. So, these are the problem with the government departments. Another problem we can add that most of the cases the user interfaces are not in multilingual interfaces. So, neo-literate people are within the disadvantaged section of the society, they are facing problem to access information from the sites which are created in English language. Now, if we talk about the second category of provider in India, that is NGOs and PPPIs, that is public private partnership institution, lot of this kind of institutes are coming up. Say for example, I can tell you the example of Common Service Center in the Northeast, which is actually started by the NIC, National Informatics Center, but later on supported by many NGOs. Similarly, Bhumi in Karnataka, and similarly Information Village project in Tamil Nadu, which is actually led by the M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation. So, this is basically the snapshot of M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation. Again, you can find that how they are organizing different kind of community information services and categories. It's a very fruitful one, but the major lacuna of this website is that it is not available in local languages, only available in English language. So, mostly these NGO based and PPPI based institutes which are providing community information services are experimental in nature. They do not follow any standard procedure for information organization which normally we follow in libraries. Most of the cases they provide a very poor user interface, less focus on the local contents, no single window search facilities, and unfortunately only a few have rural presence, like MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, they have a rural presence, but rest of the things like Bhumi, CSC, they don't have presence in different rural localities. Now, a new trend is coming in the domain of community information services, which is basically we may term as corporate based community information services, where on the basis of corporate social philanthropy, most of the giant corporates are coming to provide community information services. For example, I can tell you Tara Hut, we can tell you ITC Chopals, Hoya Chopals, etc. Let's have a look of the Tara Hut website. You see here, if you closely look into the web interface, it's very interesting. They are not using much of the languages, they are using a little bit of icons. The moment we click the icon, we can reach to the destination information categories. But here the limitation is that you can see most of the cases they are providing agricultural information related to the price of different kind of agricultural ingredients, and also they provide some local level information, some community related information, but mostly this kind of services are very fruitful for the agricultural farmers who are basically coming to public libraries. We can provide this kind of information to this on the basis of this corporate based web interfaces. Then the next one is basically the ITC eChopal. You can readily get different kind of price, agricultural price. You can compare price of agricultural foods in different sectors of the country. So these are actually providing this kind of information. But again, these corporate houses also got the same problems or limitations as I told you earlier. But public libraries as CIS provider have certain kind of advantages. First of all, public libraries are considered a free information space in the community for the last several centuries. In the public library system, we have trained staff who actually or who can process information organization skills. Then we have experience with outreach, extension and referral services. We have rural presence. And please remember, after the 73rd and 74th amendment of the Constitution, public libraries can be linked with the local bodies. So it has got an advantage. A public library can be linked with the local self-government body. Local self-government bodies can use public libraries as a repository. So these are the advantages associated with the public libraries as CIS providers. So we can term it as a win-win situation. Government requires an exclusive information support system ranging from state capital to rural area. Enactment of Right to Information Act actually requires repositories for the local government bodies, and at the same time public libraries required to redefine their role as joint up information system. As it in the previous lecture I told you that public libraries required to redefine their role. We are heavily biased towards the middle class segment of the society and mainly based on the recreational reading. So we need to take this opportunity to use community information services as an opportunity to redefine our role as a joined up information system. Now, for example, I already told you that public libraries have a great advantage as CIS providers, but let me show you through an example. Say for example, if we take the case of West Bengal, the public library system of West Bengal is quite vibrant and possibly the most comprehensive in the country. Now here you see 2475 number of government sponsored public libraries are there. It starts at the state central library, then different district libraries, then it comes down to town library and finally rural libraries. But still with this number of public libraries around 2.5 thousand, the West Bengal covers only 1850 GPS out of 3362 number of GPs. So almost 60% GPs are covered by the public libraries, but rest of the GPs are not covered by the public libraries. So Government of West Bengal took an initiative during the mid-90s to set up CLICs, Community Library cum Information Centers, in 1500 uncovered GPs. Till date, Government of West Bengal established 350 plus CLICs, and this system has 5500 trained professionals. So you see, we have the potential, we have the know-how, we have trained professionals, we have rural presence in 60% of GPs in a particular state. So a community information service provider, public libraries can be a natural choice. But before providing the community information services, we need to go for a model. And in this model, there need to be different components. First component must be institutional mechanism, because you see, community information service you cannot run in isolation. We need to take help of different organizations available under the purview of the government. Then second, we need to select the thrust areas, because depending on your geographical locality, your thrust areas will be different. Say for example, a library in the agricultural vicinity will not have the same requirement of a library which is present in industrial area. Third, we need to go for the organization process related to community information. As I told you, these are not bibliographical information. We need to have different set of organizing procedures. We need to have a vocabulary control list related to the citizen information services. We need to develop a web access mechanism so that we can reach to remote user. We need to have multilingual user information and information retrieval system so that people can retrieve information in their local languages. We need to develop a solid partnership mechanism with different other government departments. And finally, to provide all these services, we need to pack this into an integrated software architecture. That means your community information service must be a part of library information system, or as you are following the library automation system. So in future, community information service module may come under the library automation system as a separate module, from where you can catalog community information resources, from where you can organize different browsing categories, and from the search interface user can search bibliographic information as well as community information. For example, if a mother want to search what are the cricket coaching camps available in the locality, she can search from your public library user interface that normally we call OPAC, and at the same time it will give her all the addresses of the cricket coaching camps in a community along with the books on cricket coaching available in your local library. So it's a quite seamless integration of your bibliographic resources as well as community information resources. Now the most critical area of all these components I talked about is possibly selecting the categories. You see, categories may range from health to agriculture to business to community policing to different kind of housing problems, but different community information service providers are providing or following different kind of organizing hierarchies. Say for example, in case of India, we can have central government related information, local government related information, we can have employment related information, educational information, agricultural information, health components, and different kind of financial benefits provided by the government. Now, for example, that how you can do this kind of, or how can you determine this kind of thrust areas, my suggestion is that first you go for a survey of your locality, and that survey should be based on a questionnaire which should reflect the demand of the user. For example, I can show you, we conducted recently one survey in West Bengal of around 300 different users. We have given them 12 categories and actually requested them to rank these categories according to their own information requirement. And here is the result of the service, that particular survey. Here agriculture is opted by the most of the people as number one categories, then comes the health as the second category, then comes the government as the third category. In this way you can give a list of the information categories to them, you determine the most demanded one and go for collecting information on those thrust areas. So, after the thrust area, possibly the next critical area is the community information organization. You already know how to catalog a book, how to classify a book, how to shelve a book, but community information resources are often ephemeral. Sometimes they are available as only digital text, sometimes they are available even as a leaflet. So, how can we are going to organize this kind of resources? What are the possible standards and tools available with us? Let us have a view of it. There are actually 4 standards related to the domain. The first one is the community communication format, or basically it is common communication format developed by UNESCO in the year 1984. In the year 1992, it underwent a revision and they actually came up with 2 different versions. One is called CCF, Common Communication Format B, that is called bibliographic. Another one is CCF F, that is Common Communication Format Factual. Then comes the Mark 21 Community Information Format. Most of you are knowing that Mark 21 is a standard for bibliographic data only. Well, take it from me, it is a misconception. Mark 21 is basically a family of 5 different standards. We have bibliographic format, we have authority format, we have classification format, we have holding format, as well as we have community communication and information format. Simply it is called Mark 21 Community Information Format. Then we have metadata related to this domain, which is called Seamless UK Application Profile, developed by the Seamless UK, a project in UK. Another one is called CASP. Now, all these 4 standards are utilized by different community service providers in different parts of the world. If we go for a comparative study, you can see from the table given there that the most comprehensive of these 4 standards related to the organization of community information resources is Mark 21 Community Information Format. So, in public libraries of India, if we are going to manage both bibliographic resources and community resources together, we need to use Mark 21 as bibliographic format and Mark 21 community information format as a supplementary to that particular data. Well, Mark 21 community information format is basically viewing community information resources under the 5 categories. First category is the individual, because when you are going to collect community information, it is either an individual or an organization, or it is related to a program or service, or it is related to an event, or if these 4 are not covered, they have a separate categories called others. So, in summary, they are basically providing 5 categories of community information format: individual, organization, program or service, event and others. There is a little bit of confusion between the program or service and event. Let me clear the air. A program or service is basically which is happening regularly in your community. Say for example, a particular book fair is happening in the 2nd week of December in every year. So, this comes under the purview of the service. And events are the irregular programs happening in your locality. Say for example, a blood donation camp is happening in your locality, but you do not know the next date of the blood donation camp. So, this kind of entities we call events. Now, what is happening in the public libraries of developed countries? Are they using this kind of standards and tools, etc.? Let us examine. So, in the developed world, the best possible guidelines related to community information is provided by the SARC. SARC again a project from UK, and they provided 10 parameters to evaluate a particular community information services. Now, if we compare leading community information services of the world, one is CISA from Australia, second is North Star Net from US, and third is Seamless UK from UK. Now, I have selected these three global information entities in the domain of community information service because of the single reason that all these are basically led by the public libraries, CISA from Australia, NorthStarNet from US and Seamless UK from UK. Now, if we compare this particular community information services against the SARC parameter, we found that Seamless UK is basically acting as a model for the world, and they are the most comprehensive CIS providers in the world. Now, let us see this particular snapshot. Here it's a public library based community information service. It is basically the county library called East of Sussex, and it is based on the SARC recommendation. You can see from these snapshots, these are basically divided under various categories: health, agricultural, recreational information, entertainment, nearest public libraries, educational resources. Either you can go through browsing different categories, or you can search from the interface to retrieve bibliographic resources as well as the community information resources in a particular geographical community. Then if you click a particular browsing categories, you will be reaching to this the next slide, and here you see that different other categories are there. So as a whole, we can say that Seamless UK is possibly the most comprehensive distributed model of community information services, and they developed a Seamless UK application profile, a domain specific metadata schema for organizing community information resources. They developed their own subject thesaurus to provide different kind of citizen facing services to the community. They developed a software solution called C Portal. They built a partnership mechanism with other UK based organizations like National Health Services, Rural Net UK, etc. And finally, these are provided through an web based access system with GIS facilities. So Seamless UK model can be followed for Indian public library system also. And how can we develop it in India? Definitely that question is coming to your mind. First, as I told you, that we need a model, and as a component of the model, I talked about the institutional mechanism where public libraries may take the real lead. Then we need to select a standard format for processing community information services. Mark 21 maybe Mark 21 community information format in specific can be utilized for it. It must be integrated with the existing library automation system of the library. It must be based on Unicode compliant regional languages. We need to use a vocabulary control device to populate the 650 field of the Mark 21 community information format, and all this can be based on LAMP architecture, because as I told you that open source software is giving all these facilities to us free of cost. We can utilize LAMP architecture, Linux as operating system, Apache as web server, MySQL as database management system, and PHP and Perl as programming environment. Lot of open standards are available. Those we can utilize or integrate with our system. And community information service is just not a mere retrieval mechanism. You are searching and retrieving something. It must be integrated with the community communication and community interaction tools. Like we need to have, or we need to integrate blogs, discussion forum, then different kind of opinion poll, communication to the libraries. This kind of communication and interaction tool must be fused inside the software architecture. Now, if you ask me, there is no ready-made software solution for it, because it's the things we are talking about is very complex in nature. But ideally, it can be an architecture based on the 5 clusters. There should be basic cluster where operating system, web server, database management system and programming environment will be there. In the layer 2 or cluster 2, we need to have a library automation system. We can use an open source software like Koha here. Then in the third category, you need to have a content management system. Any of the open source content management system you can use, right from Joomla, Drupal, PHP Nuke. And as I told you that Akshaya of Kerala is using an OpenEnrich. It's a UNESCO developed open source software on the this content management system. So that we can use because Kerala is using OpenEnrich. So in the cluster 4, we need to go for multilingual tools and techniques, different kind of virtual keyboards, different kind of rendering engine related to Indic script, and at the cluster 5, we can use different kind of community communication and interaction tools. Say for example, discussion forum software is there, PHP MyBB. For calendar of events, we have software. So all this can be linked with it. Now, to make this thing clear to you, let me show you a prototype. We developed a prototype of community information systems and services in Bengali language for the district library of Birbhum, a district in the West Bengal. So for that district libraries, we prepared a prototype, and by viewing this particular prototype, you can understand actually how to develop this kind of systems and services. So here you see in the snapshot, the last one is basically called the community information service. If you click community information services there will be two sub interfaces will be coming. One is the user interface, another is the community librarian interface. If you go to the community librarian interface, you can catalog your resources, and here in the snapshot you see you can catalog a bibliographic resource as well as you can catalog a community information resource. The moment you select community information resource there, you will be getting a cataloging format screen which is based on the Mark 21 community information format. So all these fields you need to fill up, and let me tell you, the leader field of community information format is not the same as bibliographic format. Here if you click the three dotted line here, you will be getting a different screen, screen. So from where you can select different community information related standards. So after selecting this, if you click, then it will be coming to the next standard, and after filling it up, you will be going to the next field of Mark 21 community information format. So in this way, we can identify resource, we can catalog resources along with the bibliographic resources in a library system, and all bibliographic resources, all community information resources will go to the same central database system from where user can retrieve irrespective of the bibliographic resource or community information resource. Now if we come to the field 650 of Mark 21 here, you see this is linked with a vocabulary control device which is based on IPSB. IPSB stands for Integrated Public Sector Vocabulary, developed again by Government of UK as a open tool for providing different kind of vocabulary controls in community information domain. So we are using IPSB there. The moment a user click there, it will be displayed, different categories will be coming. You can search or you can go through different kind of browsing categories, all are listed alphabetically. If you click, say for example E, so it will be coming all the categories under the E. If you select a particular subcategories there, it will go to the different kind of thesaurus structure used for narrower term, border term, and if you click, it will be selected into your cataloging interface. So this way we can go for different kind of community information processing services. Again, when you actually catalog a particular resource, say for example we are using Koha, it will basically create a biblio identifier. That biblio identifier can be related to a particular category. Here I have utilized in Krishi, which is basically equivalent to the agriculture. Now here that particular link can be, or that particular biblio ID can be linked with this particular category so that user can search as well as they can browse. Now let us go to the user interface. So this is the Bengali script based user interface related to the community information system. Here you see user can log on, they can give their set their login ID, password, they can take part into the opinion poll, they can search, they can enter their data as a member, and after that they can click for searching or browsing. Here you see they can communicate with the librarian by using different kind of communication tools given there. They can voice their they can record their voice and save it as a digital file and send to the community librarian. They can search, so the same OPAC will be coming. Say for example, I am searching here blood test, which is equivalent to Rakto Porikha in Bengali. The moment I click it, it will retrieve resources related to different pathological laboratories available in the community. They can use the blog or discussion forum created or integrated with this interface. They can use blog services which are all based on WordPress and open source software, and they can access community of events during different months of the year. So in this way we can develop a completely seamless integrated community information system module in local languages, and we can link it with our existing library automation software. So next possibilities after this can be integration of virtual learning environment with community information services. We can go for phase wise implementation, and we can develop different offline access mechanism. That means a subset of information you can create in a DVD, you can export that particular database into a DVD which will be searchable and browsable and distribute it to the local community members. So thank you very much. Happy learning.